Welcome back, Domeless family. Boy, do I have a treat for you today. This is a book, Rosin and the Art of the Squish. Obviously, it's a book. It's freaking some shit that's bound, right? Book. Alright. Ah, gotta do this quick before my noodles get cold. Man, that looks so plain. Oh well. Back to it. Oh, what the? Looked like I caught a bug. Alright. So, with no further ado, I got for you a book. I wrote this book 2 years ago. I've sold a shit ton of this book, so I'm gonna give it away for free. But in order to give it away for free, I have to read it to you. Or you could go on Amazon and buy it. There's the ISBN, and there's a link in the comments, not comments, in the thingamajig below, right? But on with it. So, uh, two things. The first thing being, sorry, I could not find the stabilization thing on my camera, so it's shaky. I'm sorry if I'm making you throw up. If it's giving you problems, click away now. Cause, sorry. Second thing, this book is about the basics, the very most basics about rosin. The the most basic. So if you're advanced already in rosin and you already like have been doing it, then just go ahead, hit the thumbs up, and click away from this video. I don't want to waste your time, unless you want to hang out and stuff and watch my noodles get cold. But other than that, and I think this video it's probably going to take like 30 minutes because this is like a 30, 25 page book, and I suck at reading, so, and I'll try not to be boring. But anyways, um, so, just go ahead and hit that like button anyways right now while we're talking about it, and then I'll just move on. So, alright, and other stuff, if you like this stuff, if you like the rosin, the presses, the dab units, the e-nails, all the shit that I make, if you like that, go ahead and subscribe. And then I'll just keep pumping out some related content type videos. Alright, now to the frickin' book. Oh, last thing. I'm going to give this book away to one of you guys. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do it, but basically, subscribers, you're already entered to win. So I'm going to pick one of you, and I'm going to figure out the best way to get in contact with you, and then I'll get your shipping details, and this will be in the mail to you. Alright, and I already signed it. Boom. Hope you enjoy. I even threw an extra little mark in there for free. Alright. Get that out of there, whatever that was. Alright, the book. I might even just skip around so that I don't take too much time. To my readers, this book is meant to give you the basic understanding of the rosin technology. All of the information contained inside of this is gathered from my personal experiences and preferences in researching and developing presses for this fast-growing industry. Well, it was a fast-growing industry 2 years ago before China took it over and kind of like, just, anyways. Reading this article and understanding the concept of how it works is the first step in deciding how to move forward in this industry. The keys to success in rosin are simply heat, pressure, and good material. Oh, and understanding or mastering the art of the squish. Damn, I ruined that. Here, let's do it again. And mastering the art of the squish. And mastering the art of the squish. Alright, nailed it. Moving along. Doing things slightly different or with a twist is what makes you and your product special. I challenge you, the person watching, to go out there and seek out or grow that special breed and press it out. I'm trying to get Wiz Khalifa to press some Khalifa Kush, but good luck with that, right? Anyways, it's fact that if you have a good product and you make good decisions, you are more than likely to succeed. And I'm mainly talking to people that are pressing rosin and selling it on the market. So, by texture weed. In the world of rosin, as a patient, it's about health. But as a business, it's all about the bottom line. Damn it. Knew I shouldn't have done that. Anyways, what is rosin? Acknowledgement. I acknowledge that I wrote this book, and the people that helped me write it, they don't want me to say their names because they're fucking growers and they don't want anybody to know. Alright. What is rosin and where does it come from? A simple Google search will show you that there is more than one type of rosin. Who knew? And many more uses than that. In this article, we'll be discussing marijuana rosin. Marijuana rosin, I'm just going to call it rosin from this point on, is produced by heating the oils contained in the flowers to the melting point and then using pressure to squeeze the now fluid oils away from the plant matter. The process can be simple and small or massive and complex, depending on the amount of materials to be processed at one time and the press needed to accomplish such the task. Although the process of pressing cannabis has been around for many centuries, only now, due to the legislation, are we able to practice these techniques freely. Aside from the laws changing, we're growing flowers in our basements, bathrooms, and closets that our ancestral botanists could only dream of. Our generation is breeding and growing some real potent flowers. The rise of rosin can almost, well, this is a new thing. The rise of rosin can almost be contributed to the fall of BHL. Now it's back in effect, but some shit happened. Due to the combined aspects, flammability, ease of access, and simply just not thinking, lots of people were blowing the shit out of their houses, dispensing the butane, in some cases, inside the home. The process was looked at by the law enforcement, and they decided that it's comparable in risk to cooking methamphetamines, and the process was outlawed in most states. Well, I say areas because I'm just talking about Washington State. So in most of the areas, in Washington State, it got outlawed. That and the need for better organic process, a healthier way, brings us back to our roots, and the renowned hash press is reborn as the notable rosin press. So basically it's a hash press that heats up and squirts out the oil. Ding! Message. The cool thing is, you should be able to squeeze out between 95 and 100% of whatever oils are in your flowers, just by using heat and pressure. Note, by removing the oils from plant matter, it's now easier for exact dosing, packaging, and or just about anything else you can think of that you need precision with, not to mention the ease of consumption without the excess potential for cancer-causing carcinogens. So basically, by taking the plant matter out of the equation, you're reducing the risk of causing cancer by combusting the plant matter. Because if you're consuming the concentrates, right? Well, whatever, you already know. By consuming concentrates, orally, or I forgot what the scientific term for vaporization, but if you're breathing it in, you just want to breathe particulates, not carcinogens. I think I said that right. Leave it in the comments if I didn't. I don't care, whatever. So PSI versus LBS. A lot of people, when they're getting into bigger presses, there's always the question of how many pounds are we getting and all that stuff. But that was kind of a thing from like 2 years ago, so most people are past that. But I'll just get to the basis of it. Whatever. You could pause and read that if you want to. The bottom of here, for example, the bottom of a 10 by 10 inch box has 100 square inches surface. So if you have a box, the bottom of the box is 100 square inches. And if it weighs 150 pounds, by dividing 150 pounds by 100 square inches, you get 1.5 psi. So that means one box that's 10 by 10 that weighs 150 pounds distributes 1.5 psi on the surface that it's sitting on. But if the same box were to be placed on its corner, it would be distributing all of its weight to a single point. So we see it right here on its corner, and so now that 150 pounds, instead of it being distributed over that one flat area, it's now distributed on that corner. So that corner, it's going to weigh 150 pounds. So that's like holding a 150 pound box in your hand flat or having it on its edge. It's probably going to hurt more if it's in the corner. Well, it's probably not going to be sharp if it's whatever. So yeah. Assuming the corner is 1 square inch, the psi will then be 150 psi. Yeah, so that's pretty basic. Most of us already know that. Let's see. I'll do a once over. You guys could pause the video and read that if you need to. This is talking about well, one thing to note on this page is basically the size of the plates basically determines, well, the size of the plates and how much push going down you have determines how much material you could press at one time. And when you're pressing the material, you want it to be as small a diameter as possible so that you're getting maximum pressure on that small area. So you could read it. You'll understand even if you have to read it a couple of times. Just put it into a smaller area. Don't when you take your bud, if you're taking a whole flower, don't put the whole flower down like this, because the press is gonna start closing it and touching this area right here before it starts touching this area, because it's like a Christmas tree basically, and it's one of those things. It's science, man. And here's a little illustration that I did. Man, that was a good illustration. What this represents is if you're only pressing this much, you're going to get all of the pressure. If we're saying 1140 psi or pounds, if all of that's going into 1 inch, then you're going to get maximum pressure in that 1 inch area. But then as soon as you use 2 inches, the psi gets cut in half, because now it's pressure per square inch. So 2 inches is double 1 inch, which is half of 1140, which would be 760. And then if you do it to 3, then you have to cut it into that much, divide it, and then so on and so on. So if you're wondering, this has nothing to do with the psi of your air compressor. So if you have a 150 psi air compressor, that doesn't relay into the pressure in your press. Go ahead and pause the video for this one and read that if you want to. Basically, I'm saying, well, let me read it real quick. Okay, so the point to be taking on this one is that you can press small amounts of oil if you want. You really only need about 150 pounds maximum pressure. So if you're using a hair straightener, you're not going to be able to do it like that. You're going to need one of these clamps that does up to like 150 to 200, 300 pounds maybe to squeeze it. But just make sure that your hair straightener is strong enough to maintain that. But actually, I have Rosin Jr. now that fixes that problem. Damn, these noodles are going to be shit by the time I get to them. I'm almost done. Damn, I'm not even halfway. Alright, moving along. Pressing temps and times. So when you're pressing, press it for 230 degrees. And do it until the oil stops coming out. But don't do it longer than that. And then after you press it, put it on pull it out of the press and put it on the table and cool it down so that it stops cooking basically. You don't want it to keep on temping. It doesn't really matter. It degrades the THC activeness, and it also makes it get darker and darker. So you're basically decarboxylating it. Yep. Damn it. Almost. Alright. The business end of the squish. Aside from applying pressure, the temperature is the single most important key to pressing the oil out. Let me read that again. Aside from applying pressure, the temperature is the single most important key to pressing the oil out. The goal of the temperature is to melt the trichome bulbs into a fluid so that they can collect and then be pressed away from the plant material. Remembering that the rosin will start to degrade at higher temperatures, that's where the timing comes into play. You want to make sure the temperature is high enough to melt the oils, but not to harm them. Another thing to consider is the amount of materials being pressed and the amount of time it takes to transfer the heat entirely throughout all of said material. The conclusion is that by increasing the amount of material to be pressed, you also increase the time needed to press out all the oil. So we're talking about if you got one of my sets of plate or somebody else's plates or whatever, if you got a set of rosin plates and you got a Harbor Freight press, and you're pressing like an ounce, it's going to take a lot longer to press all the oil out of that ounce because you have to wait until that ounce gets up to temperature and all the oil moves away, rather than if you're pressing like 5 grams at a time. It's going to be totally different. So note, consider the amount of time it takes to melt butter or cheese. It's not instant, and the time taken differs in the amount of product to be melted. A stick or block of butter or cheese will take longer to melt rather than if it were shredded or sliced. So if you have a chunk, it's going to take a lot longer for the core of that thing to get up to temperature and melt down to a puddle than if you sliced it up and it had several different cores. So that's the difference between a small press and a larger amount of press. As for the timing, at first press, I don't put a limit on it. Imagine you stop pressing because you were going off of a set time. You might leave some of that precious oil in the material that you're pressing. After several months of research, I have found that by simply listening to the oils bubbling, combined with watching the oils flow, you can accurately remove all 95% of all the oils in the puck. This process is usually the first step to be taken when running samples or getting ready to run a large amount of the same material. If you're going to do a large run, you should keep track in a log so you can compare against other strains or for whatever reason you might have, which we have lots of reasons, mainly the government. At the very least, you can make an educated decision when obtaining or cultivating your next batch of materials to process. Basically, what we were doing here is we were providing these presses to purchasers who would go out to the crops and purchase on behalf of companies, and this way they could test all different aspects of the batch, because you have the top colas, the middle area, and the bottom, and they're not all equal. So you don't want to pay the same dollar amount for every. It's like getting a test for the top cola, and then you get 5 trash bags of popcorn from the bottom. It's not fair, right? Because it's obviously not the same flowers. Anyways, moving along. Note, it should be your goal to press out at least 95% of the oils on the first press. Generally, the second press will contain some other plant juices and be darker in color. It's best not to mix the two together, unless you really don't care. Then, who cares, right? Note, the higher the temperature, the faster the oils will flow, and for lower temps, the oils will take longer to squeeze out. As well, the higher temp will likely produce a darker oil than oil pressed at a lower temperature. And here I got a picture right here. The one at 200 comes out lighter, and I pressed it for a long time. but the one that I pressed at 250 degrees, it's a little bit darker, and I didn't press it for as long as I pressed this one. So it's my personal preference when pressing 1.5 grams or 1.5 inch round pucks with about 5 grams flour to press at around 230 degrees. Now that was what I was using when I was using my Mr. Rosin press, which unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I don't make it anymore because now it's Mr. Rosin XL and Mr. Rosin Junior. So let's see. Is this one? Okay, yeah. Wait a minute. Did I miss something? Continuing on from the last page. This, I feel, gives me a hot enough temperature to melt the oils in the flowers without taking forever to do so. If you're just pressing a couple of grams at a time, 215 degrees seems to work well. I also enjoy when my friends come over to sesh, that should be in quotes, to press it out at around 200 degrees Fahrenheit, since when we're seshing, nobody is in a real hurry. However, if I was paying someone to sit there and press for me, I might want the temp to be a little bit higher as to get the job done faster. You will find that everybody has their own personal preferences. Everybody's situation and strain to be pressed is different. With that said, it's clear there is no one perfect temp or press time, but there is something for every situation. So, just want to point out right here that not all flowers were meant to be pressed. So this is a low yielding flower right here. This is a close-up picture, and you could see that trichomes did exist one time, but they're just not right there anymore. Maybe just was handled improperly or whatever it was. Maybe it was already keefed, right? Now this one, this is a high yielding flower right here. This will get you a high return because you could just see it's loaded with trichomes. And you could also see that, I don't know if it's focusing or not, but you could also see that these trichomes are, they're not quite amber yet. So these are going to press out a really light colored rosin, as opposed to if they were light amber or a dark amber, that's what's going to press out. Which segues us into oil content of materials. Now this is real important right here, because a lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, what was your return? Your press sucks or whatever. I've heard it all. And we're back. Alright, had to feed my dogs to the noodles. Alright, so where were we? Let's just start over. By far the best yields I have ever seen have come from pressing dry sift and or ice water extract. The fact that the majority of the plant matter has been removed means it should contain more oils by weight compared to the flowers where the oils originated. Every situation is different, but if I had the option, I would press untrimmed flowers straight out of the cure room. If you're just buying the sift to process it, just make sure it's fresh, or you're likely to press out some dark oil with a less than appealing taste. It's probably going to taste like keef or hash. Hey, but you know what? It's going to come out super stable every time. It's just going to taste like ass. Note, when pressing out concentrates using a screen, it's most important to use a screen that is smaller than the screen used to collect the sift. If you use a screen the same size or larger than the original collection screens, the plant matter of the materials you're pressing will press right through the mesh and mix with your rosin. I'm sure this is not what you're after. To avoid this situation, make sure to have a variety of micron screens on hand at all times if you're trying to press with a screen. Or if you're trying to press concentrates, make sure you have a variety of different screens. Alright, I'm just going to skip past this, but go ahead and pause, and you can read this. Alright, and same thing with this one. Go ahead and pause and read that. Alright, so and on this one, Basically, the thing to pull from this, um, if you got a bunch of money, go for it. Buy the bags on Amazon or the most expensive place you can, because it's just ridiculous. But if you're trying to get it together and whatnot, go ahead and go to rionet dot something or other. I don't know, comnet something. But it's a silkscreen supply company, and you could buy the micron screens, and you could use this gauge chart right here to help figure out what to buy. But buy it by the yard. It's like $10, and then you could just fold it up. I talk about giving it a try. You just fold it up, and you got a pouch. So go ahead, and try that out. It's worth it. But if you got expendable income, yeah, go spend a dollar a bag. All right. The process. Basic steps to pressing. Really? Oh, okay. Let's do it. Number 1, preheat your press. 2, compress your flours or pack your sift. Puck it up. There, it says puck. Alright, 3, place your materials in a piece of parchment. 4, place your parchment on the pressing surface, making sure your materials are in the center or at least far enough away from the edge of the surface so that the plant matter won't squeeze out of the parchment or the press plates under all that pressure. Alright, number 5. While pressing, get close and listen and watch for all the oils to press out. As the temperature rises and the oils start to bubble, you should be able to hear it and or see the oil puddle expanding. At a certain point, only heat bubbles will be coming out, and it's time to hurry and cool the parchment on a room temperature surface. This will help prevent the oils from degrading. Hopefully it's not like 120 degrees at your area where you're pressing. Let's see. When you're ready, it's time to collect the rosin and get it ready for storage. It's best to use a multi-tool dabber that has a flat scraping surface on one end and a point tip on the other to remove any particulates, but that says particles, that are unsightly. I personally enjoy seeing the hairs and itty-bitty particles. It's like having pulp in my orange juice. With that said, it's not for everybody. When collecting, it's best to avoid the area where the materials were pressed, as the area has most likely lost its hydrophobic properties during the press. If that concerns you, there are many debates online that you can follow about the parchment and stuff in the oil. After collecting a significant amount of rosin on your dabber, it's best to remove it onto the parchment paper you intend to store it on. 7. After collecting all of your rosin, you can now press it flat. Weigh it and label it for reference. Or you could just smoke it. That's what I would do. Okay. Let's see. A. Pucking it up. Puck making technique. Okay, so if you don't have one of my handy dandy, and I don't have one here, but you could imagine it, pucker. Oh yeah, ask me about my trip to Mexico one time. This is what you'll use if you don't have one of my handy dandy puckers. The easiest and most time efficient way to puck it up that I have found is to use a shot glass to make 1.5 inch pucks for the Mr. Rosin press, or now you can use a bigger pucker for my Mr. Rosin XL press. Or I use a teacup to form 3-inch pucks for a larger press, like a Harbor Freight press with some of my trademarked press plates. I'm sure there are better things out there to use, but a shot glass or a teacup always seem to be handy, available whenever I'm about to press. So size up some parchment paper to fit on the bottom of the glass and to cover the sides. And place the small piece on the bottom and roll the long piece into a circle and line the side of the glass. Just like that. And that's what it looks like before you start. So that way, when you smash it in there, it's not going to stick to the glass at all. Because it's embarrassing slamming a shot glass on the table in front of your friends and then it explodes. Never done that, but I can imagine. All right, so there's the Mr. Rosin press that I don't make anymore because I make the Mr. Rosin XL now. Found it at Domeless.com. Right? Thumbs up. Right? Okay, so we got 7.27 grams of flour on there. Nice buds. Put it in the shot glass. Smash it down so it's super smashed. Then we get our parchment paper. We fold up the wings on it, right? Because they got wings. I'm not even gonna make fun of that. Okay, so then you put it in the middle and slightly to the back, slightly, and then put it in your press. You press it, and you press it some more, and you watch the oil come out, and you press it some more, and more oil comes out, and then you press it, and then at some point you want to stop pressing it. Let's see. Does it tell you to stop pressing? Oh no, okay, so stop pressing when you stop seeing the puddle expand. Then when it comes out, uh, you have your puck and all the oil is like gone, right? Pull out the little particulates that you don't want in there and leave in the rest, and then collect it, and then put it on your dabber, and then put it on a fresh piece of parchment that's already pre-weighed so that you can weigh out and know, and then flatten it and then weigh it. So it's 1.4 on the return, so that's 1.4 grams from 7.3 grams of flour. That equals 19% yield. So, and that's what it looks like up close. Well, pixelated now, I'm sure. So yeah, this is advertisement for the Mr. Rosin that I don't sell anymore because I sell the Mr. Rosin XL at www.Domeless.com. I also sell the Mr. Rosin Jr., which is a vice grip style 11-inch with 2-inch plates on it, or 1.5-inch plates, something like that. You could find the details at www.Domeless.com. But yeah, enough plugging, and thumbs up if you haven't thumbed up already. You know, those thumbs up help get the video out there. The coffee machine size portable rosin press packs the perfect punch. It provides 1,140 pounds force and runs on compressed air. Well, it did before I stopped making it because I improved it and put a car jack on it and increased the pressure, and it's still portable. Even has a handle, a wood handle, so you can bring it to your parties and stuff. And if you don't want to lug that big thing around, I got the Mr. Rosin Jr. that you can put in your trench coat pocket, because I don't I don't know what other size pocket you could fit that thing in. Alright, check this out. So if you got the Harbor Freight press and some of my XL press plates that I sell at Domeless.com for like $3.50, something like that, with the control box. So I have a teacup here. This is out of order. Oh, I fucked that one up, didn't I? Alright, so you got your teacup with your bag of weed. You put your bag of weed in your teacup. Oh, so your teacup weighs 0. And you put your weed in there. That's like 16 grams. And then you got your weed. Oh, so that's out of whack right there. Okay, so you got your weed in your cup. And then you smash it down. And then you got a puck. And then you put the puck into the big parchment. And then you put the big parchment into the 20-ton press rosin plates that you get from Domeless.com. Or if you already got a set. And finally, this says that I'll be making a volume 2, and sorry I didn't include everything. I was rushed to get this out because I got tired of making it. Oh, actually it says I was doing other things while I was making it. So actually what I did was I invented another press that you could put about a 1/4 pound or a 1/2 pound in at a time, and it squirts it directly into the jar. But that's more for commercial use. You know, like companies are going to be using that. So yeah, here's my book from 2 years ago. Comes signed. Just signed it today. Somehow I'm going to figure out one of you subscribers, and I'm just gonna go ahead and ship this off to you. I'll contact you, get your details, or whatever. I'll make sure that you get my details. My phone number is on my webpage at Domeless.com. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, if you like the type of stuff, the topic covered, rosin, dabs, oil, BHO. Well, no, not so much BHO, but devices, equipment. Uh, this is a new nail that I'm coming out with. This is one of my prototypes. One of several of the prototypes. Stuff like that. This is rosin puck that I pressed out in one of my machines that you probably haven't seen because I don't show people my cool shit until until I'm ready for China to start making it. So yeah, if you like all that stuff, go ahead, follow. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good shit. And I'll see you on the next video, guys. Thanks.